This is a Dude Studios production. And hey, I'm the dude. Welcome back to Hey Bartender Podcast. I'm your bartender for the evening. I am Anthony. You can call me dude if you feel like it. I'm completely cool with that. How is everybody doing this week? So sit down, relax. What can I get you tonight? Well, tonight's drink special. I decided to jump on Google and look up some dangerous drinks. Now, when I looked up dangerous drinks, I was expecting people putting a little bit of battery acid in with their whiskey or something like that. But it actually gave me some interesting cocktails that you might want to try. It's probably not for the faint of heart. But, if you get one of those customers like I used to do that were on their 21 run and they order something stupid like a daiquiri and say, "Excuse me, but is there any alcohol in this?" Give them something like this. This one's called the Hurl Hurl. That's Hurl. Yes, Hurl Hurl. According to this website that I'm looking up, it says this cocktail may look sweet and innocent in a chilled cocktail glass, but after taking a sip, you'll soon realize that this drink is almost entirely made up of alcohol. 1 part each of amaretto, cranberry juice, creamed banana, Malibu rum, Malibu melon liquor, peach schnapps, raspberry liqueur, Southern Comfort, and triple sec are all combined in a shaker glass filled with ice, then strained into a cocktail glass or poured over ice. This drink can be served as an actual drink or as a fairly aggressive shot. So do whatever you feel like. If you get a group of idiot kids that are on their 21 run and they all want to do a shot together, do that. Or if you get one schmuck that comes up and says, "I can taste the alcohol when I make this at home," set them up with that. And maybe the same thing will happen to you. That happened to me when I did that to a girl one time. She ordered a strawberry daiquiri and she complained that there wasn't enough alcohol in it. So I made her a different version of what in my list of drinks, my personal recipe book, is considered a dangerous drink, and she got about halfway through it before her boyfriend basically had to carry her out. And I'm pretty sure he was planning on getting laid that night, but thanks to your bartender, that's not going to happen. Customers are always underestimate the power of a bartender, don't they? And remember, guys, I want to hear about your stories or your dangerous drinks. Remember to email me, dude@heybartenderpodcast.com, and fill me in on some of your quick stories, or tell me about some of your favorite drinks that you wouldn't mind sharing with the rest of the bartending and server community. This is the whole reason why I put this podcast together, so we could all get to know each other in a talk show kind of way. Yeah. Anyway. So, listen, today I came up with this idea for this show, and only because based on my past experience, it seemed to have happened a lot. Now, I see this happening in corporate more often than regular mom and pop restaurants, because mom and pop restaurants, they always keep the same managers. They always keep the same owners, because it's a mom and pop shop, unless they sell it off or, don't. But mom and pop shops, they usually, if they want a new manager, they usually hire within. Corporate, they try to hire within, but some of you guys probably have experienced those times where somebody who gets hired on as manager. I mean, I've seen on all the employment websites right now, places are looking for managers. Corporate restaurants are looking for new managers. And I always sat back and thought, well, why don't you hire within? You've got somebody that's already working there, and they already know the place probably better than anybody that that you know or that you would hire. Why don't you just hire within? But no, the corporate restaurants are all looking for managers. Oh, I forgot another good reason that they won't hire within is because most of bartenders and servers don't want to move up to management experience, because we make more money making tips, and when you become a manager, you don't make tips anymore. So you run that risk of not being able to make as much as you did as a bartender or server, and you're stuck. So anyway, let's say you come into work one day, your old manager's gone, maybe he's been gone for a couple weeks, couple days, whatever. And then they hire on this guy to come in as a manager. They say he's got a lot of management experience, leave it at that. And then this guy starts talking, and all of a sudden you realize this guy has never worked in the food and service industry. He might have been a manager of a Radio Shack. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. But he might have been a manager of a small store, like a GameStop or something like that. So they sat back and said, he's got manager experience. He can handle it. But he's never worked in the service industry, and he doesn't know the crap that we all put up with, which leads to manager mistakes. Let's talk about that for a second. Now, there have been some managers that I've worked with who come onto the site and they act like your best friend for a little while. They basically get a feel of the land, talk to all the employees, joke around with them a little bit, and get a feel for the way things go around there. Now, that can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing. It's happened both ways for me, where the guy is basically, hey, okay, let's that's the way you do things. Okay, let's work with that. But then all of a sudden, you get another person and wanders around, sees how everything works, and then all of a sudden decides, I am going to change this place to make it better, and I'm going to leave my mark because this is now my creation. This is going to be run the way I believe a restaurant should. So you run the risk of having to watch your back constantly because the person's looking to make their own mark, which also means hiring new employees so he can start completely fresh and make it his own. That is a terrifying manager, because all of a sudden you start to realize, I might not have this job tomorrow if I don't perform the way he sees fit. Now, sometimes you get your fellow employees, all they do is keep their nose clean, make sure the customer service is happy, make sure their sales are good, their turnover is right on the money. But then you get the other employees that stick their nose so far up the new manager's ass, you don't know where they stop and where the new manager begins. Yeah, it's a horrible practice, but it's a practice that's probably been done since the beginning of time. But yes, the new manager is trying to make an impression on his employees, but he's also watching his back to make an impression on the higher-ups, the bigwigs. He has to be able to prove that now that he is manager, he is going to make the business better. He's going to bring in more customers. He's going to make things happen faster. And, sometimes managers don't ever realize that it's not possible the way they picture it in their head. Now, take this manager I used to have. This wasn't in the service industry. This was in another job I had. He had zero experience in the field that I worked at. Zero. Had never done anything like what we do at the job that I had. And he comes on to the site and says something like, it's already 3:00. How come UPS hasn't shown up yet? I told him UPS doesn't show up on Mondays. They show up only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And he's like, well, we're going to have to change that. I just stopped and looked at him and I said, good luck, because that's the way it's always happened. Where we worked was out in the middle of nowhere, and I was just like, dude, it really, really is not going to happen. I don't care who you call or complain to. The manager, you might have a manager that comes in and starts trying to integrate new ideas, money-saving policies, different ways of presenting the food, different ways of presenting the alcohol, money saving, ways of presenting the food and alcohol. Those guys will drive you batshit insane. Like the money-saving ways. Say you're a bartender. Some of you don't have to say you're a bartender. You are a bartender. You've been pouring drinks the same way for the last 3 years. Your customers know you, that your customers know how you pour your drinks. You know how to pour a drink. And all of a sudden you feel this cold stare on the back of your head. And you realize the manager is watching you. And you start to pour a beer. Now, this is the simplest thing that I can possibly think of. Some customers don't want a lot of head or foam on the beer. But the manager read a book or saw it on YouTube that the proper way to serve a beer is to have a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of foam on top of the beer. To him, that is the proper presentation, and that's the way it should be done. But for some reason, when you were pouring that beer, you were holding the glass just right, so not a lot of foam built up. I used to do that for my customers all the time, and it just didn't happen. Maybe our CO2 wasn't working right. Shit, I don't know. But the customers started expecting that the beer make it all the way to the top. No foam. Then all of a sudden the manager jumps on you saying you're doing it wrong. And you're like, oh, I've been doing this the same way for the last 3 years. And well, you've been doing it wrong for the last 3 years. You're wasting our money. You're pouring too much into that beer. Well, that's the way it happens. That's the way the tap works. And the customers don't seem to mind. Nope, you are supposed to have exactly 1 inch to let's just say 3/4 inch of foam on top of the pint glass. And he sits back and chastises you in front of the customers for wasting company money. Or my favorite is when you are a good bartender. You've been a good bartender for a long time. You can free pour a shot dead on the money without looking, without counting, without even realizing, hey, I just poured something. You can pour a shot of whiskey to the line without looking or counting. But the manager is standing right behind you and counts for you. They're watching you count, and they're going 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. Okay, they poured too much. And then they get on your case for that, and you're like, no, it's a perfect shot. And he said, nope, it's not a perfect shot. You poured way too much. You are affecting our liquor prices. All because he probably watched a video on YouTube. Or even worse, they watched Cocktail one too many times. And you know how much liquor they wasted on that movie Cocktail? They were spilling all over the place. But I digress. But point being, they're sticking their nose in every little thing. Now, from a bartender's point of view, that's the way it works. How the new manager that knows nothing can annoy us. Now, the servers, sometimes they're being watched and being made sure that they are reaching the tables at a proper time. They're delivering the food at a proper time. It's all about time, and they can be bothered by him. So, well, the food's been up underneath the warmer for the last 2-3 minutes. Well, where the hell were you? How come you didn't take it out? Then the server most likely will reply, well, the hostess just gave me an 8 top, and a couple of the people at the table had a little bit of trouble deciding what they want and asked little itty-bitty questions on every single thing. So it took me a while to get back to the kitchen to deliver the food. Sorry. And then they said, well, I want you to get that food out as soon as possible. And, not realizing that he just contradicted himself for good business. You got to take the order. And then once that order's taken, you put that order in, and then you take the food out. Because, what if you forget to throw in an appetizer? What if you don't get a drink in there on time? All the food comes out at once, and then you got yourself a complaining customer saying, where are our appetizers? Or I didn't get my drink. Or, a bunch of stuff like that. And then the servers live under the pressure of time. And usually you always observe the server as a really good server, and they were able to handle everything that they could in the order that they felt comfortable with. But the new manager has decided that the order that they're comfortable with is not workplace efficient, so they need to do a completely different way. That's a great way to turn a great server into a very, very, very angry server. Sometimes the managers just don't realize if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And some managers wander into a place thinking it is broken. That's the reason why they hired me, because they want this place running like a fine Swiss watch. And really, there was nothing wrong going on before that. It's just, some things that weren't in control. Like, every once in a while I'd run into these or get these managers at my workplace where they were forewarned that some things didn't work out, weren't working out to the way that they see that it should happen. This is coming from the bigwigs who never visit the site or never question, why isn't this done? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And they just don't, the upper management people just don't realize it. And this person puts on his Superman suit and says, "Don't worry, my friend, I'll get in there and I'll straighten everything out." And, because I've had experience with management, and I had that place running so smoothly that they fired me for whatever reason. Well, let's not say that. Let's say that the guy got laid off or decided that he was non-essential, and because of COVID, and he spent too much time at home and decided that I just need to get a new job. And restaurant, they need a manager. Well, I'm a damn good manager. Why not? And some of them even sit back and think, it's the restaurant industry. How hard could it be? Yeah. You try to, there's a difference between trying to sell retail stuff and serving people food. First of all, when you're selling retail stuff, people know what they want and they get it. In the restaurant industry, people know what they want. They get it, but they're also hungry, which makes them grumpier. And it can be a real culture shock for the new manager. And depending on how they handle it, it's really a crapshoot. New managers who've never been in the restaurant industry, let's say they worked in retail before they became a manager at your restaurant. In retail, sales can be a little, or are, not just can, are a lot different, because in retail, the customer is always right. I'm sorry, sir. I'll get a new one for you. I'll be right back. Yes, sir. I am the lowest life form on the face of the planet. Thank you for alerting me to that. I've worked in electronics retail. I really know what that was like. It was horrible. And the person has the slightest complaint. When I told the guy, look, I'm sorry, we do not have that in stock. And then they went over to the manager and told the manager how big of a jerk I was about it. And I was like, I wasn't a jerk. It just took a long time to explain to the guy without swearing that we don't have the product that he was looking for. But I got in trouble for it anyway. And the manager gave him like 40% off something that was slightly more expensive than the thing that he wanted. And it was ridiculous. I mean, they're bending over backwards to make somebody happy, and all you have to do is complain just enough. But now they're the manager of a restaurant. Now, a good manager is a team player, and they will support any decision that the employees decide to make. Like, this guy's too drunk, he shouldn't be drinking anymore. But then you get that drunk that says, I'm not drunk. And I said, sorry, sir, but I can't serve you anymore. And then he says, I want to speak to your manager. And the manager actually happens to be there. So you bring the manager over and say, this guy tells me I'm not drunk, or tells me I'm drunk, but I'm not drunk, and he's trying to cut me off. This is bullshit. And then the manager will usually cave and say, give him another drink. He looks fine to me. I was like, dude, he fell down just a second ago and he's had 3 Long Islands. He really needs to quit. And so I'm sure he'll be fine. Just give him another one. In fact, sir, the next one is on us. And then the customer sits there with pride and makes and the manager just made you look like an idiot when really you're trying to protect yours and the restaurant's ass. Now, I'm not knocking all managers. There's a lot of managers out there that really look out for their crew. If you've listened to previous episodes, you've heard about managers that will actually help schedule around some of their staff in order for their staff to achieve their dream, go after a goal that they have in their life. And those managers are just cool as hell. They think about what the crew wants to do. Most of the managers know that most people don't want to work in a restaurant for their entire lives. But, when that's what I'm always looking for whenever I find a new place to work. Is this manager going to be the type that will back me up on any decision? Or is the manager going to be the person that will just do anything because they're afraid of conflict, they're afraid of making their managers mad, or even have the customers hate them? That is the worst part. It's like I was telling you that that I had a manager a long time ago, this past episode. When we got a bad ID, a fake ID, we had to take it away. But the manager, the next day, the girl came in, got and asked for her ID back, and the manager gave it to him. We're supposed to turn those into the DMV. We're supposed to give them to the cops, somebody of authority. But no, the manager gave it back to her. And so from there on out, she could go to any other bar except for mine, because me and my partner, she and I knew who she was. We weren't going to put up with that. And then you got these other managers that, the customer, we 86'd them, and they come in the next day and say, your bartender 86'd me last night and I didn't do anything. And you have it in the logbook that the guy got in a fight or something, or really inappropriate in the bar. And the manager says, all right, you can come in, but you can't be in during these shifts, basically avoiding you. And, they make compromises with the wrong people. And that's the type of thing where I think managers aren't looking out for people. They don't care if you quit. They don't care if they fire you. I've never been a big believer in job security. Hell, I was even fired from a job where the owners were longtime family friends. Now, I'm not saying just because they were family friends that I should have had a job for as long as I needed. But they constantly contradicted all of us. We 86 somebody, they let him back in a short time later and say, oh no, it's okay, they're fine now. No, they got in a fight like three times, and we've 86 them every time. I'm sensing a pattern here, boss. And it's just becomes a headache. And I know I'm replaceable because I was friends with that family. One day they decided that they called me up, which pisses me off because I hate it when bosses don't have the balls to look at you right in the face. I hated the fact that they fired me up over the phone and didn't really give me an explanation why. I didn't ask for an explanation. I just decided to go the more responsible route and say, well, okay, I'm sorry. It's been a pleasure working for you. When do I get my last paycheck? And so, yeah, that was the best thing I could do. I could have easily told him to go, well, fuck you, this, that, and the other thing. But I decided to go the more responsible route just because I wanted to prove that I'm a bigger person than they are. But remember, when you're going in, working extra shifts, and every time the boss calls and you jump at the chance to get another shift, they don't really take that into a huge account. You become dependable. You become the person. Some people think dependable is a good word. Sometimes it's not. It can be exploited. But remember to look out for yourself, because there are some managers that aren't looking out for you. Some managers are just like, whatever. If they leave or quit, I can replace them easy enough. Some managers right now in this day and age are finding that really hard, though. They, all because of the lockdown. A lot of their employees didn't want to come back, and I'm sure every single employee that doesn't want to go back to that particular restaurant might have a reason other than, hey, I'm getting unemployment, and I'm getting unemployment for another 6 months, and I don't have to do shit. It comes down to, whether or not they feel like, do I really want to go back there? Do I really want to go through that hell? It's not always about the customers, even though I talk about the customers a lot on this show. It can be about management too. And, and sometimes the managers know exactly what the fuck they're doing. And some of them just don't, just because they have zero experience working in a bar or a restaurant and think they know how a restaurant or bar should run and are completely wrong. They're marketing a completely different material than whatever they did before that. So, anyway. So, people, it is last call. Last call for alcohol. Come on up to the bar before the manager fires me. So, special thanks to Laura Hope and the Arctones as always. Go check them out on Spotify, iTunes. They got a lot of great music, especially if you're into rockabilly. Which, if you're not into rockabilly, you're probably into something else. Remember, if you want to contact me for any reason, if you want to ask me a question, if you need some advice, if you want to be on the show, all you have to do is email me, dude@heybartenderpodcast.com, and I'll respond to every single thing that you send me. And remember to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. All of them are at Hey Bartender Podcast. And, follow me, drop a line, say hi, because I could really use the company. I do this podcast by myself. And if you know yourself or any other bartender would be nice and chatty on this show, I'd love to talk to them too. So, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to wish you all lots of love, lots of sex, lots of happiness. And remember, don't take any shit from anyone. Good night.